Good morning, everyone. I hope that we're able to connect today. I had a huge, it feels huge to me because I turned on my eCam this morning and it was sending me all over the place and making me do all these weird things. So I'm hoping and assuming that we are connected via Facebook right now. But you'll notice I've got this wonky little trial eCam live thing going on. I don't know. We'll figure it out later. But hopefully you are here with me today. And if you are, I would love for you to tell me that you're here and where you're popping in from. Where are you watching from today? My name is Michelle Marquardt DeVoe, and I am a business strategist and a recently certified Clifton Strengths coach working with mindset. Hey, Stephanie! Excellent. Thank you for that check-in, letting me know we're live. And I'm a business strategist. I'm a coach. I love to make people who give a crap make more money with their mission and driven businesses. I like to help people just like you to really get what you want in the way that you want it, in a way that serves people, and in a way that makes you excited. So, let's talk about value-based pricing today. So if you're on my, thank you, Karen. Hi, Diane. So if you're on my email list, which of course you should all be on my email list, you got an email last week with my blog about value-based pricing. And today is the live that goes through it. And the system that we're trying out this year, as you know, I love to keep things transparent for business stuff because I want you to also get ideas about what to do in your businesses and your marketing. So what we're trying out this year is kind of doing a holistic kind of splattering where in the Speakeasy Cooperative, we do in-depth trainings. And then on the first of the month, we tease that training for you here on the Facebook Live. And then the public information is on the blog. So it is in snowy. Hello, Erin from snowy Ontario. I know Karen is in Las Vegas because she is a social media manager for me. This is part of her idea. Stephanie, I didn't realize you were in Baltimore. Good morning, Baltimore. That's just for you. And Diane's there too saying hello. So thank you, Karen, by the way, on the congratulations. eCam changed on me. So we're gonna see how it goes. Let's dive into this. What is value-based pricing? Well, very long story short, we're gonna kind of just really get into this. Value-based pricing is about creating offers and selling things based on their perceived value to the client. Perceived doesn't mean it's false. It's just what the client gets out of it versus what most of us do, which is cost plus pricing. Perceived value is when the client is asking, why is this important to me? Why do I care about this? And how will it improve my life experience? Cost plus pricing is when a client is asking, well, what do I get? What do I get? What do you give me? If I give you, it's very transactional, right? And I wrote a blog on transaction versus transformational. You can check that out on the blog too. So it's this idea that value-based pricing is about this transformation that the client wants to have. And that cost plus pricing, which is anytime you are selling your time, is what are the check boxes that I get, right? What comes in my package? Now, I want to make a clarification. You will be doing all sorts of describing the check boxes, describing your process, describing what you offer, all of that. You're going to be doing all of that with value-based pricing because that is what you have to do for sales. I'm going to switch over my microphone. It literally just switched back. Tell me if you can hear me still. Let me know, please. I'm watching my little eCam thing go back and forth between built-in MGU, built-in MGXU. So you're still going to have to outline your process. Okay. It doesn't mean that you're just like, well, just trust me, I'm going to be amazing. That's not what this is. You're still outlining your process, but you're not selling the process. The process is what you are using tool is what we are using. So why is this a great thing for voice teachers? Firstly, value-based pricing immediately removes the need to give a crap about time. Time is no longer what you are selling. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Stephanie. Time is now the tool that you use to accomplish your missions and goals. It is not the thing that you are selling. And I know that many people think, well, of course I'm not selling my time. But anytime you say, my session is 30 minutes, my session is 45 minutes, my session is 60 minutes, and you make that part of your sales conversation with your client, you are immediately communicating that your time is what is for sale. Okay? And that it's the time that they are paying for. In some ways, this is good. But that's not what anybody wants to be paying for. People do not want to be paying for your time when they are wanting to have a life experience that transforms them. Time is the tool. It is not the solution. So there's an old sales kind of saying that says, nobody buys a drill, they buy a hole in the wall, right? Nobody cares about what kind of drill it is. They care about having the hole in the wall so they can do what? They can hang their shelf, they can hang their photos or their paintings, they can create something that is aesthetically pleasing to them and brings them joy. So time is the drill. It's the thing we use to create the hole in the wall, which is going to be confidence. So you can put it in the chat. What do you think you're selling? What are you really selling? Improved tone. Improved ability to sight read, confidence, clarity of artist brand, a deep assurance of knowledge around maybe an audition book or an audition package, security in one's vocal choices, right? Those things are the whole. They're not the drill. The second reason why this value-based pricing is great for teachers is because so much of our work is done outside of the lesson time anyway. How much time, I would love to know, how much time do you all spend looking up rep, looking into college programs, contacting other teachers and touching base with them around certain technical, anatomical, physiological, pedagogical things that you don't already, that maybe you want to get a second pair of ears or eyes on? How much time do you spend answering emails, texts, questions, listening to videos, checking out videos that are already made? Like, hey, can you, look at my audition video, or can you, give me some advice on something? So much of our work is outside of that lesson time anyway, and we fail to price for it appropriately. Third of all, why it's great for voice teachers is that it connects with our deep, deep sense of holistic understanding of teaching and of humans, okay? Most voice teachers that I know, they are different than other music teachers or people who teach voice in addition to other musics or instruments, are different because we have an inherent understanding that the voice is connected to our identity. The voice is connected to the things about us that make us us. And so we can't just say, put your fingers on the thing and go boop, 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 which is also a very important thing to do. And if you want to perform well, you will access that inner emotion no matter what instrument you're touching. But there's an added level on a neurological level of the emotion and identity centers of the brain being connected to how we present ourselves through our physical voice. So we already understand that we're doing a value-based approach. We already understand that we're doing a holistic approach. And then we're trying to shove that into this like tuition model or this paid for service model or whatever we're trying to shove it into. Again, those models aren't bad. I use all three of them in my voice studio, but they're for different types of people. And they give me a different level of joy, right? All right, let's move on. So let's do, are you with me still? Somebody tell me you're with me. Everybody got real quiet. Usually you're all chit-chatting up in the chit-chat. Let me know if we're good. Let me give you an example because I think it's helpful to take it out of the ethereal into this is what it looks like in real life. Let's talk about a short-term audition package. All right. Value-based pricing says that the goal of the client is to have a result. Okay, great. Thank you, Don. Thank you, Diane. Great, Sonia. This is very good. Thank you. So let's say the client needs to, we're busy listening. I love this. Okay, I have to put this up here. We are busy listening. More people, side note, we would all do better, including myself, to get busy listening more. So good on you for that, Stephanie. Get busy listening. Okay. Audition package, short term. When someone calls you and says, hey, I have to get ready for an audition, I want everyone to have what's called an audition package. I want you to think through what it would really take for someone to feel what you can guarantee through your work with them to get a desired result for an audition. Everyone here knows you cannot guarantee an outcome of an audition. It does not matter. They could be the best actor, the best singer, the best performer, the most engaged, And if the director is just like, that's not what we're looking for, they don't get the role. So let's not go there and pretend, of course we cannot do that. You will tell your client that. And if you are telling people that they're going to nail auditions and get roles, then what you're doing is you're connecting nailing an audition with getting a role. And that's like not a thing. They are not connected. You can nail an audition and still not get a role. And you can get a role when you just like bombed an audition. So like, don't connect those two things. What I want you to do is I want you to think about what would it really take? Now, you don't know this information until you talk to the client. How prepared are you? When is the audition? What are they looking for? Tell me a little bit about your essence. Amanda and Heather in Speakeasy just yesterday did a training on the essence for choosing rep in musical theater and pop rock jazz. So you're going to have to do some digging. What you're going to find is that you don't actually know how many lessons that's going to take. You don't know. It could take 3 lessons and it could take 10 lessons. And you have to be prepared for that. What you want to do is you want to figure out, what is the goal of this person? What do you want out of this audition? And what you're going to start to realize is like, I want to feel like I picked a damn good song. I want to feel like I'm completely prepared. I know what my slate's going to be, that I'm polished in the way that I walk into the virtual room. I'm assuming it's going to be online. I want to make sure my video, let's say it's a pre-screen where you're sending in a video. I want to make sure my video is on point. I want to make sure it's edited well and lit well. I want to make sure I look good. I want to feel comfortable and confident in the way that I'm being viewed on camera. I want to feel comfortable and confident in the song choice. I want to know the show, if it's for a musical theater or whatever. Look at all these things this person wants to have that really constitute being prepared for an audition. And then ask yourself, well, what is that actually going to take? And some of that work isn't going to be in the actual lesson. Some of that work is going to be maybe back and forth through email. Maybe it's you doing a little bit of research and taking some stress off of that auditionee by doing research about the show for them and giving them a list of links. Okay, look at this, that, and the other thing. Read through this thing to get the idea of the show. Maybe it's you talking to other people when it's for a college or something and reaching out and finding out what are they really looking for and kind of who's on the top radar of the program. Right? Put that all together. Then at the very end, say, well, if you are 0 prepared, you don't have a song, you don't know how to sing, you never sung a day before in your life, this is probably going to take 3 to 6 months. Right? Then you present them with the package and you say, for everything that you want, it's going to be $5,000. There it is. Then they're going to probably come back because they've never experienced this before ever. And you're going to say, well, It might take 10 lessons and it might take 20 lessons. But here's what I know from my experience. If we do XYZ for this week, every other week, whatever, you will accomplish what you need to accomplish in order to get your desired results. You should not be punished because it took 10 lessons, because you're fast and they're motivated, because they got their results. And they should not be punished financially if you're not getting them the results and it's taking longer than it should. So do you see how that value-based pricing just takes the time out? When we start talking value-based pricing, we completely remove time from the thing that we're selling, and it merely becomes the tool, right? This is the hardest part, by the way. It is the hardest part to put your brain around. Okay, long term. Did everybody get that? Are you with me still? That's an example for a short-term package. Maybe it's a month. And it depends, right? So if the person is going to be, let's say the person is a professional and they just want someone to help them polish it up and they have their list of things that they want, okay, the audition is in a month. It's probably going to take 4 to 6 lessons. I want to make sure that I give them a pep talk in the morning, Here's the package. $1,000 out the gate, right? Doesn't matter if I see you 5 times. Doesn't matter if I see you 10 times. We're going to get you ready. We're going to do what you need to do, right? Norma that's an idea for the short term. Norma's saying, this is exactly what I've been thinking about lately, how I need to set expectations for these students, their level of commitment, etc. Yeah. And it can't happen without a conversation. It can't happen with like a real honest conversation. Who are you? Who am I? What are we going to get done? And sometimes it's our job to help them figure out what they need, right? I mean, let's get real. I remember when I first started doing this value-based pricing in my own studio, and I brought in every single family and I sat them on the couch and I got them tea and cookies and coffee. And I said, I am going to propose something to you that has never happened in all of my voice teaching experience ever. So you got to stick with me here because I'm going to do my best to explain what it is. And I had to explain what I was doing. But you know what? At the end of my little pitch or whatever you want to call it, every single student that I invited into this was like, sign me the heck up. When they knew that they could come in for 3 days in a row right before an audition, and then we're guaranteed that I would like fit them in for their callback practice, they were like, great. And then in the next week, when they needed to take time off, this is where we're going into the long term right now, when they needed to take time off because they were in the middle of the run of the show or the rehearsals, it was no big deal. Because they already knew that relationship and that give and take was there. And I was like texting with them and having phone calls instead of maybe face-to-face time. Because the goal was no longer get every lesson in every week. The goal was make me the best performer I can be as a high schooler in Silicon Valley while still trying to maintain my mental health and my love of myself and others and get in a damn good college, right? So long-term, that's a great example. Long-term stuff would be like people who know that they're preparing for college, or YAPs, people who know that they're preparing for a certain role, people who want to have specific capabilities. They want to have maybe their book put together. They want their voice to be a more holistic approach to the sound. So they say, and they might not be able to articulate it well, but this is where you come in, right? So they say, oh, well, like I want the top of my voice and the bottom of my voice to be the same strength. Okay, well, you want to balanced registers and you want to connect that, right? You help them with those things. Then you sit down, you figure out everything that they would get the results from that experience. And you have to use your expertise to say, this is how long I think it's going to take, based on how I work and based on how you work, right? So it doesn't matter. This is what I think it's going to take. And then you can set it up as either, great, it's a fixed time period. We're going to work together for a year, $8,000 out the gate, right? Or you can say it's month to month and we'll just revisit every 2 months and check in and say, how's it going? Keep high tabs on it, right? In order to implement this well, and we're moving on from examples into implementing this well and just things to watch out for, you must keep it goal-based. You've got to get out of the box checking mode and into the tangible results mode. This is very challenging, but it shouldn't be. This is called developing curriculum. And it might not be something that you write out like the way that someone would use a curricula for a math book or a history book, but it is about you as a teacher taking the time to develop a curricula for your student. It's about you understanding how one gets from point A to point B vocally and the plan that you are going to implement in order to get them there. Many voice teachers show up every week with a very vague idea of what they are going to do in that week based on the student in front of them. But they call that vague idea going with the flow. This is not going with the flow. You can't go with the flow unless you have a flow to veer from, right? A plan is there so you have something to veer from. If you know what the destination is, and you know where you are now, and you have an idea of how you're going to get there, the flow happens this way toward the goal. It's not just kind of like, well, I guess we'll do warm-ups today. And I guess that'll help make your register strong. And I guess that will get you prepared, right? So we have a higher level of accountability to our teaching. This doesn't work for everyone. Not everyone wants to do this, and that's fine. But I would offer, side note, that people don't want to do it because they don't feel like they're getting paid for it. The whole point for value-based pricing is that you are charging appropriately for what you are getting people as the end result. So ask yourself, why am I resistant to the idea of developing a curricula for my students? Usually it's going to go back to time and it's going to go back to compensation. But when you cover those bases, then that becomes a joy. That becomes work that you're getting paid to do, that you want to get paid to do. And that actually makes you a better teacher and them a better student and a better singer and a performer long term. So that's the first thing in order to implement well, keep it goal-based. The second thing, which I just alluded to, write out the path. Even if the client never sees the details of your path, you have to write out your path so that when you present this package, this proposal of scope of work to your potential client, you are clear about what it's going to take, how long it's going to take, what kind of resources you're going to pull in to the process, what kind of resources you're going to provide in the process, and how you're going to link arms with that client to get what they need. I'm going to tell you this right now, you will undercharge if you do not write out the plan. You will absolutely undercharge because things always come up. They always come up. Third, in order to implement this well, you must know your client/student. You've got to take the time to have real in-depth conversation and to help them figure out what their goals are. Most singers have never actually been given the gift of having a person sit down with them and help them pull out and draw out their goals. So they say things like, well, I want to sing better. And then you say, well, what does that mean? And they say, I don't know. So you get to take the time. You get to learn the skill of drawing out truthfulness, right? You get to learn the skill of asking the golden question to really pull out the desired results. Now, last thing for today. Value-based pricing is not for the faint of heart. And I want to give it straight to you about how you prepare your studio and yourself to start doing this. The first thing to prepare is you have to have like a come to Jesus talk about your current ability as a teacher. And this is not, don't get on me about like, oh, imposter syndrome and all that. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying, what is your skill sets in? And we are talking about holistic skill sets here, friends. We're not just talking about like, can you teach them to sing? We're like, what does your onboarding process look like? What does your time and your calendar look like? Right? What kind of person, some teachers don't even want to go there when it comes to emotional support and systems around any sort of like counseling adjacent behaviors. If you don't want to do that, value-based pricing might not work for you. I'm not sure you're going to be able to deliver those results that you want to deliver. You got to know your skill set and your knowledge set, and you got to know your network. So that's why in the blog, I say, I want you to write it all down. And this, again, this is data. It's not like getting all up in your feelings, which feelings are fine. I love feelings. I have them all the time. I had them this morning when Ecamm was farting out on me. This is about just getting very, very matter of fact. This is the knowledge I have. This is how I teach. This is how I prefer to teach. This is how I manage my time. These are my boundaries around communication. This is my network that I can reach out to if I have a problem. These are the people that I would like to send my student to if I can't answer a question. Like, really get clear on what you can offer. The second thing, oh shoot, I just totally lost my train of thought. It like went away like a bird flying away out of my brain. Literally, what was I talking about? There you go. I got all like into it. I don't remember what I was going to say. So at the end of the day, why it's going to be hard. So you've got to know who you are. The second thing is that you've got to do to prepare yourself is that you have to stop thinking in time, and you've got to really take a good look at your schedule. So offering value-based things is difficult when you don't have time to actually implement them and to be flexible with your time. So there will be times, depending on the ideal client, there will probably be times where you need to like have pop-up conversations with them, and they need to be able to kind of just call you or text you or message you. And you have to have that ability to kind of fit them in, because most performers are going to be in a situation where they will need some sort of last minute advice, right? I mean, we all have those students where they're like, hey, an audition popped up and it's for like 2 days. Can I have help? So you want to be very clear about your time, and you want to be very clear about how much of your time you want to spend face-to-face with clients and how much you're willing to spend not face-to-face. If you don't enjoy being flexible for people, I'm not saying you can't do it, but you're going to have to figure out something else to sell, right? Because oftentimes what's going to bring the results is going to require a little bit of flexibility. Third of all, in order to prepare, not only about thinking about your time, but removing time from your vocabulary, the word time from your vocabulary. This is the most difficult part, especially because on the back end of our systems, we have to think about time, because we have to think about our billable hour. We have to think about what is our time valued at so that we can price appropriately. So in the back end of our business, we are thinking about time. But in the front end of our business and the language that we're using to communicate about what we deliver, we are not using time as a word. And that can be really tricky. So those are just some things about what value-based pricing is. I would love to take some questions now if people have them, but I think that that's a good overview to get us started. And we'll talk more about it tomorrow in the Tuesday training. So if anyone has any questions, I know this is a huge mind shift. While I'm waiting for questions, I will say a little bit of the difference between value-based pricing and, let's say, tuition. So at the end of the day, value-based pricing, again, is not about the time. It's about the results. It's about the goals. It's about how important, it's the life experience that it gives, not the selling of time. And at the end of the day, tuition is still a pretty transactional type of relationship. Tuition is still How many lessons do I get? When do they happen? So it is still time-based. Even if you listen, I always suggest if you are going to put together a tuition package, you put the amount of lessons at the very end of the list of what they get, right? But tuition still covers all of your costs, hopefully, but it still is ultimately a cost plus model. Subscription, I kind of think is like a baby between tuition and value-based. Again, still time-based. So it doesn't look like anyone is popping in any questions right now. But of course, on the flip side, you can boop them in there and I'll do my best to answer them. Tomorrow in the Speakeasy Cooperative, we are doing our Tuesday training on this. So we'll kind of review a little bit of what we talked about today and then do a deeper dive and have maybe I'll pull someone up for a hot seat to talk about their particular offer and product. So one does not, I guess I'll close with this. One does not just like decide to do value-based pricing and then it's magically okay. You can't pull the Band-Aid on this. You've got to do a lot of pre-work. And I suggest, this is why in the blog I said, okay, here's all your pre-work and then schedule a session. Because just like the client in front of you is going to be unique to the situation, you are going to be unique in what you're offering. So just something to think about with that. You can offer these at different price points. It's not always, I just gave an example of like one kind of here it is proposal. You can offer 3 versions of a package, right? Where it's like, well, this is everything that you want. Like, here's the big list of what you want. If you want all of that, it's going to be this. If you want most of that, it's going to be this. And if you want a little bit of that, it's going to be this. Okay, Ella is saying, how do you handle students not putting in their work? Example, you have clear goals, but they are not putting in their own work to meet the goals. Not my responsibility and not yours either. I think this is where the transactional versus transformational conversation comes back in. No one is signing up for this without being very clear about what they are going to have to do in the relationship in order to achieve their goals. So if someone is not doing the work, then it's a question of, did they forget what their priorities were? Is there something that I'm not communicating clearly about what work needs to be done? Ella, I would also ask, what is the work? What is their work? Because if we don't have, again, back to the plan, right? If we don't have a clear outline of what we expect from them, like, okay, so this week your top 3 priorities are pick out those 3 songs in those 3 different styles, sing through them and send me Marco Polos. Those are your top 3 priorities, right? If you don't give them the work to do, how are they going to know to do it? That's the one thing. So it's about, number 1, a conversation. Hey, I'm noticing that we're not clicking along the way that we normally click along. Is there a way I can support you, or do you just need some time to rest? The second thing is get clear about, it's just a question, right? This is why if they continually not do their work, Ella, they're continually not doing, then you can tell them, I don't think that we should work together anymore because this obviously isn't working for you, and that's okay. And then you give them a 2-month grace period or something. I mean, this will come down to how do you want to handle offboarding clients, right? Which is a little bit different than, hopefully you're very clear in the package about what they're getting and the scope of service and all of that. But then you can have a graceful way to offboard them as well and let them find someone that works differently. Sadly, we cannot control our students. Sometimes I wish we could. But at the end of the day, they got to do the work. We have to help them, but we can't do it for them. We just can't. I wish we could, but we can't. Cool. Any other questions before I get going? All right, friends. I think that's it. Again, on the flip side. I know I'm supposed to say this. If you are interested in value-based pricing, and you know someone else who is interested in value-based pricing, please share this video with them, share the blog with them. And If you want to get on my mailing list so that you get the blogs, I will put that in the comments. The other thing is if you haven't read the blog, there's a book that I want everybody to read if this is something that sounds like amazing to you. And it's called Breaking the Time Barrier. It's by the man who founded FreshBooks, Mike McDermott. And what I love is it's a perfect example of value-based pricing. So he gives the book away for free. It's a free PDF. And he wrote it a while ago, many, many moons ago. And at the end of the book, he's like, if this was helpful, whatever value you found in this book, you can pay me the money for this book. And that was amazing. Now, I wound up paying, I think I paid him like $150 for the book after I read it. And then I did my due diligence to figure out how it works in a voice studio. But I so much exponentially increased my joy, and I exponentially increased my income, and I exponentially decreased my hustle. That's how much that book was worth to me. Right? That's how much it was worth to me. I mean, his book helped me change my life. I changed my life ultimately, but his book was part of that. So that's a great example of value-based pricing, right? Here's this thing for free. How much do you think it's worth? Now, I do not recommend that in the arts field, mostly because we still have, a lot of unfortunate stories around value and worth, so you might not get what you need. Elizabeth, it's called Breaking the Time Barrier. There's actually copies of it in Slack, in the Speakeasy Cooperative Slack workspace as well. And there's a link to it in the blog, so I can get that to you real easy. Okay, friends. Okay. I guess I should say with the book, it is not... there's like nothing about people like us, voice people in there. And it did take me quite the brain to fit it for the voice teaching world and for my model. But man, once I did it, good to go. All right, friends, I will talk to you later. I'll see you tomorrow if you're in Saco. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. Everyone chill. Mercury is in retrograde. So there's weirdness in the world. It's okay. We'll get through it. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.